God could have made me anything in this world, and he made me a black woman. That is it. That is the post.
On September 8, 2024, in Indianapolis, Indiana, what should have been a normal Uber ride turned into a nightmare, one that ended in murder. Chanti Dixon, a 30-year-old mother, trusted the wrong person that day. And that single decision cost her life. Today, we're going to uncover the chilling details of her final moments. You'll hear about the shocking confession that even left veteran detectives stunned. And believe it or not, the clue that helped crack this case came from something as small as a $5 tip. This is the story of Chanti Dixon. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you can be part of our growing true crime community. Drop a comment to let us know where you're watching this from, and most importantly, remember to keep your loved ones safe. Let's begin. Indianapolis, Indiana. The city where Chanti was working tirelessly to build a better life for her two children. She had just moved into a new apartment on Earhart Street with her 13-year-old son, Deshaun, and her 10-year-old daughter, Chanti, who she even named after herself. For Chanti, this move was a fresh start, a new beginning for her little family. Chanti was unforgettable. Her energy was vibrant, the kind of energy that could brighten up any room she walked into. Her mother, Rideshare Dixon, described her as selfless, a woman who always put others first. Neighbors noticed her quiet strength. She wasn't loud or flashy, but she was focused on her children and on building stability. She had a little dog that followed her everywhere, a sweet reminder of the simple joys in her life. But on that September day, one single choice, just one Uber ride, changed everything. Tonight, we'll take you through that deadly ride, inside the twisted mind of the killer, and show you how a small digital clue, a $5 tip, eventually led investigators straight to him. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever felt uneasy in a rideshare? Maybe it was the driver, the route, or just a gut feeling. If you have, drop your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. At only 30 years old, Chanti was raising Deshaun and little Chanti on her own. She had just moved them into their new home on Earhart Street, determined to create a better life and a new chapter for all of them. Neighbor Giovanna Hines remembered her fondly. She had just moved here. She seemed like a great woman, kept to herself, always with her kids and her cute little dog. Chanti's relationship with her mom, Rise, was unshakable. Through tears, Rise later shared how close they were. She'd say, "Ma, you're my best friend." And I'd laugh and tell her, "Girl, you know you're mine too. You know how some people are the glue of their family." That was Chanti Dixon. At just 30 years old, she was the big sister everyone admired, the one who carried the weight and made sure no one was left behind. To support her family, Chanti worked long, exhausting late-night shifts, sometimes not clocking out until 3:30 in the morning. At that hour, no buses were running. Her only option was to rely on rideshare apps to get home safely. Her cousin, Eric Young, spoke about her with deep respect. Chanti was a mother first. She had a good heart. A good person through and through. Her mom, Rise, always called her selfless, someone who would give her last to help a friend, even if it meant putting herself at risk. That's just who she was. She made sure everyone around her felt loved and important. And in 2024, for people like Chanti, bartenders, servers, club workers, rideshare apps like Uber were a lifeline. They were supposed to be safe. You trusted the background checks, the profile picture, the license plate that matched the car. It gave people comfort. But sometimes, that trust could turn into a trap. For 29-year-old Francisco Valadez, an Uber driver in Indianapolis, that night was exactly that. The city had already seen issues with rideshares before, but nothing, could prepare them for what would happen to Chanti Dixon. Assistant Chief Catherine Cummings put it best. Women. Girls. Mothers. They deserve to live without fear of something horrific happening. Everyone should feel safe walking, biking, or even hopping into an Uber. But in the early hours of September 8, 2024, that right to safety was ripped away from Chanti. At 3:34 a.m., her long shift finally ended. Tired but relieved, she opened her Uber app and booked a ride from West 16th Street. The app matched her with Francisco Valadez, who was driving a BMW with Indiana plates. It should have been a routine trip. Pick her up. Drop her off. And before long, she'd be back home on Earhart Street, where her 2 children were fast asleep in their beds. But something went wrong. Uber's records later revealed that Valadez made a strange, unnecessary stop along Washington Street before heading toward her home. What happened inside that BMW remained hidden, until Valadez confessed in chilling detail. He told police that he was a virgin, and during the ride, he offered Chanti money in exchange for sex. When Chanti laughed it off and firmly refused his disgusting advance, his embarrassment twisted into rage. But here's the haunting part: even after that moment, Chanti tipped him $5 through the Uber app. A small, simple gesture. Proof that she still trusted the driver who was supposed to get her home safe. She had no idea the nightmare that was coming. Valadez admitted that he pulled out a gun and shot Chanti once in the left side of her head as she sat in the back seat. In an instant, her life was gone. But the horror didn't stop there. He confessed that he dragged her lifeless body out of the car and dumped her behind a concrete barrier at the end of Wagner Lane. Then, in a sickening act, he tried to violate her body before throwing her 2 phones and wallet into the woods nearby. What he didn't know was that those phones would later become the key to catching him. By Sunday morning, panic was setting in. Chanti hadn't come home. For her family, that was unthinkable. Chanti always came back to her kids. When Chanti's phone went silent, everyone knew something was wrong. No exceptions. Panic set in almost immediately. Her family grew desperate. They tried everything: calling, searching, even tracking her phone's location. Deep down, they prayed for answers, but their hearts told them something was terribly wrong. On Monday, September 9, 2024, at around 1 p.m., Indianapolis police received a chilling call. A body had been discovered in the 1800 block of Wagner Lane, near East Raymond Street and South Sherman Drive. Officers hurried to the scene, a wooded area hidden behind a quiet neighborhood. And there, they found her. 30-year-old Chanti Dixon. Her body was lying face down, stripped of dignity, with a sweatshirt pulled over her head and arms. A single gunshot wound marked the left side of her head. Just 20 feet away, tossed in the woods, lay her 2 cell phones and wallet, exactly where Francisco Valadez had admitted to throwing them. Now those items were no longer lost. They were the key evidence that would tie him to her murder. But the discovery was gut-wrenching for another reason. Chanti's new apartment, the home she had just moved into with her children, was only steps away. She was so close to safety. So close to Deshawn and Chianti. Her neighbor, Giovanna Hines, was shaken to her core. "It's horrific," she said. "She just moved here, not even a week ago." Giovanna pointed out that the crime scene wasn't just near Chanti's home, it was right next to a school bus stop. Children walked by there every single day. Assistant Chief Catherine Cummings spoke the harsh truth: this happened in a neighborhood where kids play, where families should feel safe. For Chanti's family, the wait for answers was torture. Every unanswered call, every passing hour tightened the knot of dread in their stomachs. They were inching closer to a truth no family should ever have to face. The investigation was just beginning, but the killer had already left behind a digital trail. One that would make this case move faster than anyone expected. Francisco Valadez thought he was clever. He thought he had covered his tracks by tossing evidence into the woods. He thought he could rehearse a story for the police, walk away, and get on with life. But he had made one mistake. A single digital slip-up that would put him in handcuffs in less than 48 hours. By Tuesday, September 10th, detectives had a victim, a crime scene, and the most powerful ally they could ask for: technology. Chanti's mother, Rideshare Dixon, handed over her daughter's phone passcodes. Inside, detectives found a goldmine of evidence. At 3:34 a.m. on September 8th, the app showed Chanti had ordered an Uber from West 16th Street. The trip details were undeniable. The driver, Francisco Valadez. The car, a BMW with Indiana plates. It even showed the $5 tip she had left him, the last gesture of trust before her life was stolen. From there, detectives traced the car's registration, which led straight to a relative of 29-year-old Francisco Valadez. His own address was just a short drive away, on the 4400 block of Aristocrat Circle. Meanwhile, back at Wagner Lane, the crime scene told its own dark story: Chanti's body hidden behind a concrete barrier, dumped at a dead-end street. Finally, detectives knocked on Valadez's door. He didn't run. He didn't fight. He opened the door, and he agreed to talk, at first. At first, Valadez tried to spin a flimsy story. He told detectives that after dropping Chanti off at home, an armed man approached his car and shot her in the leg during a robbery attempt. But detectives weren't buying it. The evidence told a different story, and it didn't match his lies. Chanti hadn't been shot during some random robbery. She had been shot in the head, inside his car. When confronted with the facts, Valadez's story began to crumble. He was brought into homicide for further questioning, and the truth started to seep out. Uber released a statement, "Our hearts ache for Miss Dixon's family." But words could never undo the horror. In Indiana, a murder charge alone could mean life in prison. Add attempted rape and abuse of a corpse, and Valadez could spend the rest of his days behind bars, if found guilty. But here's the question, do these charges truly match the horror of what he did? That will be for 12 jurors to decide, as prosecutors prepare to seek the harshest punishment Indiana law allows. For Deshawn and Chanti, the trial means little. What matters is that they now wake up every day in a world without their mom. The woman who worked grueling late-night shifts just to provide for them. The woman who moved them into a new apartment on Earhart Street, hoping for a fresh beginning. The daughter who called her own mother, Rise, her best friend. Indianapolis responded with grief and determination. Community leaders lit candles, neighbors spoke of safety, and watch groups formed, hoping to prevent another tragedy. Conversations that no one thought they'd ever need to have suddenly became urgent. Through it all, Rise Dixon chose to honor her daughter with love, not hate. "If you want to remember her, show love," she told reporters. Spread love. That's what she would have wanted. That's what she always gave. Chanti's death shone a harsh light on the risks faced by late-night workers who depend on rideshares to get home safely. Bartenders, dancers, restaurant staff, security guards, when the buses stop running and taxis are too expensive, rideshare apps feel like the only option. Safety experts offered reminders that could save lives. Always check the license plate and driver's photo before getting in. Share your trip details with someone you trust. Sit behind the driver when possible. And most importantly, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, don't ignore it. But the painful truth is, for people like Chanti, there's often no choice. When your shift ends at 3:30 in the morning and your kids are waiting for you at home, you just want to get back safely. You take the ride you can get. Safety often takes a back seat to survival. But Chanti's murder was a wake-up call for Indianapolis. Neighbors began watching out for each other more closely, checking in, making sure everyone was okay. Sometimes it's those small connections that can prevent the next tragedy. So let me ask you, what changes would you want to see in rideshare safety rules? The next Chanti Dixon may be counting on those ideas to make it home alive. Chanti was just 30 years old when Francisco Valadez stole her future. She dreamed of watching her kids graduate, of growing old, of one day becoming a grandmother. That chance was taken from her. Thank you for listening to Chanti's story. If it moved you, please subscribe and share this video. Your support helps us shine a light on victims whose stories must never be forgotten. And drop your thoughts on rideshare safety in the comments. Your ideas might just save a life.